It's December, and when you live in Florida, that means there is still time for planting. In this video, I'm going to show you what I'm going to be planting, how I figured out what to plant, and a couple of little secrets that may help you too. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and welcome back to my meadow. I'm gardening in Zone 9A in Northeast Florida. I'm not an expert gardener, but I love showing you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and embracing the imperfection that learning to garden has to offer. Before we dive into the seeds, I have a couple of thank yous. Thank you, Dixie W, for sending the seeds. I know it's been a couple of months. I'm very sorry for the late thank you, but I really appreciate it. And I look forward to planting those in the garden in the spring. I also have a thank you to One Mellow Marigold. I ordered from her Etsy shop. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and open it now. A stocking, very excited. But she also included not only a handwritten thank you note, but marigold seeds. You can never have too many marigolds in the garden. Let's check out this stocking. I'm very excited. It's handmade. With lots of love. So I saw this on her Etsy shop. You guys can check that out at One Mellow Marigold on Etsy, and I just had to have one for our little Christmas decorations. Thank you, One Mellow Marigold. With the thank yous done, I want to know, where are you growing and when do you stop growing for the year? Here in Florida, I actually have 300 growing days between frost dates, and with a lot of the cold hardy crops, I really don't have to stop growing, which can be a blessing in a lot of ways, but I have also heard other gardeners say it would be nice to be able to take a break. Well, guess what? You can take a break, but in our area, some of the best food you can grow grows when it's cooler because you're not fighting as many pests and you're not fighting the heat, and it's just lovely to be outside on a nice, cool day. Soon, I will be starting some marigolds. Actually, I do have a plan for doing some mass planting of flowers up in the front, so I'm doing some experiments now, and I'll keep you guys posted on that. I've gone through our collection of seeds, and like every gardener, I'm a great seed hoarder too. And in fact, I've never even made one of these videos before. Maybe making these videos will help me be better at keeping the pace in my garden. But I picked things that will do well in the cool and colder weather. Today it looks really gray, but it's actually quite mild outside, whereas 2 days ago I had freezing temperatures and had to cover some of the tender things. But these are things that once they're past the seedling stage, they should do just fine in the cold weather. And I've got a little something that's coming to help me with that. So I don't have them in any particular order now. It might have been better if I had them in a particular order, but we're just going to start here. I have broccoli rabe that I'm going to be planting. This is a favorite for stir fries in our house. A lot of people like to pick it before it flowers. We actually enjoy cooking it with the flowers on when it first buds and when it first opens. It makes a delicious stir fry. Next, I am starting some celery. Now, it may not be the right time to start celery, but I'm going to do a little experiment on that because celery takes a really long time to grow. And shout out to Jacques in the garden because he mentioned the idea of just growing a couple of heads of celery because you can walk out and take a little bit and it just keeps growing back. Thanks, Jacques. Next is Chinese cabbage, and you might think this is a really big package, and it even says sprouting seeds right there. I bought these for sprouting, but I wondered what would happen if I planted them out. Oh my gosh, this makes a delicious cabbage for a soup. If you're new to the channel, my wife is Asian and we have a lot of Asian dishes, Asian soups, and Asian stir fries. This ends up being a really crisp, a little bit spiky cabbage leaf that we can pull off a couple of leaves at a time. It almost looks like a wild lettuce, kind of a cross between a wild lettuce and a romaine in how it grows up. But I planted these and they were delicious, so they are due again for the table. And the other thing that's really interesting, and I have another pack or two in here, is sometimes when you buy packs of seeds that are in these big packets like this, as long as you take care of them, you can get them for a lot cheaper on a per seed or per weight basis. Speaking of which, I did the same thing for kohlrabi. Now I do want to grow some kohlrabi microgreens, but I'm also going to grow some to full size and see how they are. Now the risk you take when you're using microgreen seeds to grow full size plants is you don't know if this variety is a variety that is as good as a bigger plant. Let me explain. You see, you think about the cabbage, we think about Chinese cabbage like a Napa cabbage that comes in a head, or a heading cabbage, whereas this one doesn't do that. And so it's just an investment of time and seeds and a little bit of love and sunshine to find out what it's going to turn out like. And if you hate it, you can just go back to growing microgreens. Another package of broccoli rabe. It's a very, very popular food around here. Now this is a Romanesco broccoli, and actually it says January on it. I may go ahead and plant it anyway. One of the things that I like to do when I get seed packets is take my marker, which I haven't done very much, but take a look at what the recommended grow dates are and then do the calculation based on my first or last average frost date. And if you see there's an I, it's January 20th to start indoors. But I just might try anyway on these. Next we have turnips. Turnips should be really tasty. I'm not a big fan of when they get big, but I really like them when they're small. They're great in salads and things like that. So I look forward to tasting these. The greens, I don't know. I don't necessarily love turnip greens, but I do love the turnip bulbs. So we'll see how that grows. I also plan to start some lettuce. Now this happens to be on a seed tape, so I will need to make sure I'm starting this outside, directly sowing in a garden bed, and provide some protection should it get a little bit colder until the plant gets bigger. It should be fairly cold tolerant in our area as long as we're not having freezing dates. Now this is rutabaga, and you might notice that I wrote 2022 on that. I do this sometimes on my seeds too. A friend of mine shared a bunch of seeds with me, which is where some of these seeds came from, and I wrote the year on them so that I would use those seeds first. Seeds don't expire. They might lose their efficacy, but they don't expire. So just because it says packed for 2022 or 2021, don't throw them out. I keep my seeds stored inside in a container and in the bottom of a closet where it's dark and cool year-round here in my home. And so even if I don't get all of them to come up, if some of them come up, it's still better than tossing the whole thing and just buying new seeds. Next is heirloom chard. Now this packet of chard I happened to pick up at Dollar Tree. I have not tried them before, and they are from 2019. We will see how they go in the garden, but I love a really tasty chard salad. I forget, it's not wilted, but you use a lemon juice and olive oil, and then you massage it and crunch the leaves up and let it marinate. Oh my gosh, y'all, it is a delicious salad, and it's a nice alternative if you're looking for something to take to a party maybe that tastes really, really good, and it's something people either really love it or they really hate it, so you can decide if you want to get invited back if you want to make it. Next we have dragon purple carrots. Now I purchased these very likely from Etsy. It says 2020 on them, and so we're going to start our carrot seeds. I might be a little bit late starting them, but I'm just going to do my very best here because I am so far behind in the garden, and I choose not to let that stop me. Because the worst that happens is I plant some seeds and things don't grow. The best that happens is I plant some seeds and I get some food and I get some stress relief and benefit from just being outdoors. We have a couple of more varieties of carrots that will be going in. This is another packet from the Dollar Tree that I picked up a couple of years ago, and I grew them and they were tasty carrots. So I'm excited to try those again as well. And I have the Nantes, Nantes, from Bay State Organic Certifiers here. This is a Livingston seed. Now, this seed was a nice surprise. I did not get to eat it or use it last time I grew it because I left it in the ground too long and it just got eaten up with composting worms and other critters that like to decompose our plants that are in the ground, our roots. And so that's my fault, but I'm trying it again, and that is wasabi. And these were free seeds. They ended up in a pack I got from Baker Creek, so super excited to try those out too. More lettuce. Now, this is a salad bowl lettuce, and it's not on a tape, so I'll be able to start that in containers if I want to, or seed start packs. And because of the way lettuce grows, I'll probably use some of these bigger seed starters from Epic Gardening, so it'll be easier to transplant as it grows up and I won't disturb the roots as much. I've never I don't think I've transplanted lettuce before. I think I've always direct sown it, so we'll see how that works out. Now, aside from edibles, I am going to be starting some flower seeds, and these are going to be for my pollinator garden. So I have a great red hibiscus, I have a cardinal flower, and I have black-eyed Susan, and all of these came from the Monticello. And so these are heirloom seeds that have been protected and saved through the centuries, which is kind of cool. And I look forward to having them here in the garden. Now, one other flower that I plan to start getting ready for my mass planting up front is Sweet Alyssum, and I have some more of these coming from Botanical Interest as well. I'm going to mix up some different colors because this will make a nice little carpet, low growing, would look really nice up in the front yard around the house and not be as wild and woolly as my wildflower garden was last year. Some of the plants got to be over 5 feet tall and it just was unsightly. I'm going to plant something low growing and beautiful in the front and put all my wild and woolly stuff back here in the back. Leeks. I'm also going to be planting leeks. Very excited about this. I really like a good leek soup. So this will be lovely to have and grow here in the garden. I have tried it before. I was not successful, but it's a new year. It's a new me. That's a new garden. I don't know how much of a new me I am. I'm just more experienced now than I was. If you guys are new to the channel, I am not an expert gardener. I have been gardening for a while, but I've never gardened consistently like I have since I moved here. And so it is kind of fun to really begin to establish some patterns and learn some things about gardening and growing and being in the same space and figuring it all out. And so this is the only time in my life I've had a garden year after year in exactly the same space. Another Asian green favorite, this is tatsoi. Tatsoi, this is a really lovely green. They're small like a bok choy and make a delicious stir fry and soup. Next we have walking stick kale. I have been waiting to grow this. I haven't planted it yet before. I can't wait. I mean, look at this. This guy is up on a ladder harvesting the kale. Now, even I would be willing to get up on a ladder to be able to harvest kale like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. For this one though, I've had to really think about it. I don't want to put this in one of my taller raised garden beds because if I do, then I may never be able to reach the top. So I'm actually thinking about starting this in a larger grow bag because I've grown kale in a grow bag before and it worked beautifully. Next we have bok choy. Now this is a little bit different than the tatsoi, but they are very similar. They just have a little different flavors, but I'm going to mix it up and grow some of each. And actually for both the bok choy and the tatsoi, I am going to do some succession planting so that I plant a couple of rows now and a couple of rows in 2 weeks. I'll actually direct sow these and then continue to grow the crops over the season. I'm going to rotate them through a particular bed so that we can always have a fresh supply of greens. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And last but not least in this bucket is garlic chives. Now, garlic chives is something my family uses in stir fries and in cooking, but it takes a whole lot of them. Like when we go to the market to buy garlic chives, they're usually buying them in a bundle like this. And so I went ahead and got a bigger packet of seeds because I think that's what it's going to take in order to have enough for even just a few meals to make it work. I've never grown these before. I do have some society garlic growing up front. I have grown some other chives, so it'll be interesting to see how this turns out, if it bulbs out and makes additional sprouts. But this is definitely going to be a learning experience, and I will do a separate video on the garlic chives because I haven't seen anyone talk about that. And because we grow so many Asian vegetables, I really do want to start maybe some series on that in the future. So I'm sorry, that's all the seeds, but I do have something else that I'm starting too. I am starting onion sets. So I have onions, actually 3 different kinds: white onions, red onions, and yellow onions. And I also have more of these over there. I am starting my garlic. Now, a lot of people start their onions from seeds, and so far I have never been able to get an onion to sprout for me. So I don't know what I've been doing wrong, but I have planted sets and gotten onions. So this year I'm going with sets because I need it to be easy for me too. I wouldn't call myself a lazy gardener per se, but really I am. I really want to work well with the systems I have. I don't want to have to work harder. And I have tried growing onions from seeds, and I will try again in the future, but for this year, we're going with sets. I promised you a couple of little tricks and a couple of other little things that you should know about. So let me tell you about that. One of the things, if you were trying to figure out what to grow, maybe you're a new gardener too and you don't know what to grow, obviously watching people on YouTube, but you want to make sure that you're paying attention to what people are growing in zones that are very similar to yours. The zone itself, like I'm in 9B now, that recently changed, but it doesn't change what I'm doing in the garden. But what it means for me is that I have an average low temperature over the last 10 years that meets a particular criteria. That doesn't mean I won't have temperatures that are colder than that, and so I still need to be aware that it could get freezing here in Northeast Florida. So when you're watching seed starting videos for gardeners, make sure that you understand what zone they're in and that you are considering what you can grow based on where you live as well. The second part, which isn't a part of the growing zone, but is absolutely a part of where you live, is when your expected or average first and last frost dates are. Where I'm at, our average first frost date is December 15th. Our average last frost date is February 15th. That is 8 weeks. There are a lot of seeds that you start for spring 6 weeks before your last frost date, which means that at Christmas time, I am already thinking about planting some of my seeds out for the spring garden. Even though it's December and I am still trying to get my fall and winter garden planted, you literally are flipping it over and starting to think about what you could grow inside or start inside. Or in my case, and this is the secret of how I'm going to get some of these things to grow and get hardened off, is I have ordered a new small greenhouse from Tractor Supply. I had a coupon for my birthday and I thought this will be fun. I'll just go ahead and order a small greenhouse. If you've been with the channel before, you know I had a greenhouse before and the cover wore away off of it and I had to throw the cover off. I still have the frame, but the cost of buying a new cover was more expensive than I could get this little just about 5x5 greenhouse, and this greenhouse already includes the shelving and everything. So I'm excited to try this out, and I'll make sure that I'll share it with you guys when I get it set up. And I did get it from Tractor Supply. So that'll be really fun to see how that goes, and that's going to really help me with these seeds that I'm starting late, get things going. Now, the other part of knowing when to grow something is your local county extension office or your state extension office. Here in Florida, the University of Florida has an extension office, and they break things down by North Florida, Central Florida, and South Florida. And it's starting to rain a little bit, so my sheet got wet here. But they actually have these really cool infographics on their website. And since I'm just in North Florida, I'm going to fold just to that section. And so what it tells me here is what I can start from seed in December, what is transplanted with care in December, and what is easy to transplant. Now, if it's easy to transplant now, that might mean going to the garden center and buying starts, or it may mean that you were supposed to start these back in November, maybe. So for instance, here it says that I can use seeds for carrots, onions, the bunching onions, radish and turnips, that I could transplant with care, celery, mustard, and spinach, and that it's easy to transplant arugula, beets, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, Chinese cabbage, collards, kale, kohlrabi, sugarcane, and Swiss chard. So that's how I know the things that I can plant in my area right now. And of course, I'm gonna need to give it some extra care because I am starting my seeds later than I should, but I didn't, and so I'm just gonna do my very best and work through whatever happens with the seeds I get. But this is a great resource, and I bet that your county or state has something like this too. And again, your individual property will make a difference on some of the things that you're able to do. Where the sun is, where the slopes are, how the water flows. Here back in the meadow area that I call the meadow, you can see these garden beds back here. They are just under a canopy of trees. And so that is a warmer climate back there. So I have my citrus back there. It'll still get some of the nice cool weather, but it doesn't really get the frost like some of the other parts of the yard. If you want to learn more about what's growing here in the garden, be sure to check out this video right over here. And until next time, my friends, remember to drink plenty of water, wear that high quality sunscreen, and as always, have a fantastic day.